like nothing is as I would like it to be. And everything's just got too much. Loads and loads of things that I haven't done. If you're beating yourself up for not doing what you think you should be doing on your to-do list, if you're frustrated at having too much to do and not fitting it all in, then have a listen to this and see if you get any insight. I'm Alison Smith, and I usually use metaphor as a means of helping you get back on track. I've been posting here since October, regularly 2 or 3 times a week, and everything got on top of me. So I thought, rather than just continue to beat myself up for not doing it, I thought I'd share how I was feeling and what I'm doing to make myself feel better, really. So I'm here. I'm not even outside. I'm sitting here. I haven't done my hair. I've got my cheapo glasses on. It's like nothing is as I would like it to be. And everything's just got too much. Loads and loads of things that I haven't done. But I've done the essentials, I suppose, in terms of I've done what I'm getting paid to do. Not have done a YouTube video. Sorry. But I have done what my client wants. I haven't eaten properly. I haven't been for my daily walks. There's a long list of what I haven't really. And I've just got a few things that I'd like to share with you about that, really. You don't mind I haven't done a YouTube video. You more than likely haven't noticed. And how is that also applicable to some of the things that you need to do? Oh, I've got to do the hoovering. I've got to. Has anybody noticed? No. Some days it's just about doing the essentials. It brings to mind something that Nick Haines has been saying recently about if we beat ourselves up today, we're giving ourselves permission to beat ourselves up in the future. Just think about that for a moment. So what we have to do is put the stick down we're beating ourselves up about. And I'll put a link to a post I've written about that, because we do that, don't we? It's like, I'm going to pick up a stick today in order to beat myself up tomorrow. Enough. Let's put the sticks down. There's a beautiful stanza from Oriah Mountain Dreamer's poem, The Invitation. And then I couldn't even find that book. Anyway, I did eventually find it. And so let me just read to you that stanza, because I think it's beautiful. So just listen to this. I want to know if you can disappoint another to be true to yourself. If you can bear the accusation of betrayal to not betray your own soul. If you can be faithless and therefore trustworthy. So I'll read that again. I want to know if you can disappoint another, which is a lot of, if you think about the things you're beating yourself up about, a lot of the time it's you're beating yourself up because you're going to disappoint somebody, because you think that you've promised them to do something, or even that you think you ought to be doing something for them. To be true to yourself, it's like you're at wit's end. You've got too much to do. No, I can't do that hospital appointment, trip visit. I can't do that shopping for somebody else. I can't do all the things that you'd love to be able to do if you had all the time in the world and didn't have other responsibilities. But if you can bear the accusation of betrayal, if the other person feels disappointed, that you're happy, or you can bear their response, I suppose, and not betray your own soul. You can bear the accusation of betrayal to not betray your own soul, if you can be faithless and therefore trustworthy. How cool is that? So I thought what I'd do is follow my own advice and see what other videos I'd done that would help me in this predicament of feeling, starting to beat myself up, I suppose. So one of the videos I've done to help when you're struggling is to draw a mountain. So I'm going to draw my mountain and I'm going to come back to you. Hilarious. Draw a mountain, says she, and I can't even get a pen to work. However, before it ran out, I was able to get so far. So the whole premise of the video, and I'll put a link to the longer video, is to draw your problem as if it was a mountain. So here's my mountain, and by all accounts, the pen, I was trying to draw lots and lots and lots and lots of mountains, and I'll put another picture here of what I imagined later. So lots and lots and lots of mountains. So that's how it feels. It just feels like there's an overabundance of mountains. But the idea is to then go, well, okay, if that's how it feels currently, what would the antidote be? And of course, if you're going to climb a mountain, you need to be prepared to climb the mountain, and you can only do one at a time. So in order to decide which mountain I'm going to climb, it's about writing a list down and prioritizing and doing all the things we know we can do around deciding, our prioritization and action planning. So to do that, even for things like the hoovering, even for the things like doing the walk, it's like, what's most important? Oh, you know what, this morning I'm going to be so busy that perhaps I miss out having my morning bath, which is so brill, but it's going to be sunny. And so I'm going to go for a walk. So that gets the walking, because I know, and I've been listening to Rangan Chatterjee's recent Sunday repeat about the benefit of walking on so much. So the drawing for me has helped me say, okay, can I do one thing at a time? What am I going to do first? Oh, dearie. So I thought, right, what I'll do is I'll have a look at my YouTube channel and see what other videos I've done recently that would help. So the second one away, so the last one I did was about beating yourself up. So putting the sticks down that you've beaten yourself up with, which is one of those things around embodying the language. So we say as we beat ourselves up, so what would you do about sticks, which I mentioned earlier. But the second to last one that I did, of the longer videos anyway, was about juggling all the balls. And again, it was just about, I think the biggest insight there was we can only juggle so many balls, and yet when we use the phrase, we're invariably trying to juggle too many balls. So it's impossible. We already know it's impossible. And yet the wording is trying to suppose that we should be able to juggle 100 balls. No, we can't. So I'll put a link to that video. Well, this is interesting. I'm not convinced I was feeling that overwhelmed. However, we've got a poem for Overwhelm, and there's a story that I shared at solstice, winter solstice, about a stone getting knocked off balance. So I suppose it's a story that's about timing, that we're not always going to be able to pull ourselves together in this very moment. But and there may be things, so this links to my prescription for wellbeing journal, about having a list of things that get you back on sorts quicker. I do laugh about the fact that I've got all these things to hand. So it is interesting that yesterday when my personal trainer arrived, the one thing I did was say I need to do plank. I'll put a link to a video I do about plank, because for me, that's a really quick way of getting me back on track. Didn't get me back on track, so I still felt a little overwhelmed. However, what it did do was make me feel loads better. So it might be about starting that prescription now for well-being, about, oh yeah, it's about ringing a particular friend. It's about going for a walk. It's about sitting down with your favourite cup of tea. Whatever it is, to have that written down, because when we get out of sorts, we forget what works. There's also a poem about pushing that I wrote, about pushing the same boulder up the same hill that starts, not this again. And I just wonder, so I've just got the transcript in front of me, and it talks about going round and round on autopilot. So I suppose when we get overwhelmed, it's as if we remember all the other times when we've got overwhelmed, and then believe that because it's happened before, this is going to be the same. And so the poem is very much, and I'll put a link to the poem, The poem is very much about breaking free of that cycle, to make a decision that just because we've done this in the past doesn't mean to say we have to do it again. We've got a different choice. Instead of always going left, we can go right this time. Which all links to a video that makes me laugh every time. So in some respects, I just need to listen to the video where I got wet. And I was surprised I got wet, despite the fact that I knew, that the wave was being predictable. It kept coming in. I was standing where I knew I'd get wet, and yet somehow I was hoping I'd get a different response. So it's, don't keep doing the same thing. If it wasn't the middle of the night, then I'd be saying, let's go out for a walk in nature. Let's have a look at a pattern in nature. Let's look at what that pattern has got to share with us. And I'll put a link to the video on taking yourself for a walk. Didn't manage to go this morning, this lunchtime. So go for a walk in nature and use nature as a metaphor for the conundrum that you're grappling with. Yeah, there's something about doubling down on what I know works. So for the last 18 months, I've been doing a gratitude log. And so I think for me, it's about perhaps doubling down on that. There's a video about stop planting more trees, which obviously is about not saying yes to any more stuff until you've got everything, you're feeling more resourceful. So what I'm doing here is just looking at some blogs I've written, because some of the blogs I've written link to videos. So I've perhaps not picked it up from the video titles, which might explain why you're not looking at the video titles if even I can't work out what they're about. So I've just gone to the blogs about the link to them. And there's one blog about why overwhelm isn't the helpful description, because it doesn't help me understand what it is that I'm feeling. And so it says, am I being distracted? No. Unfocused, unmotivated, tired, vision or goalless. I think, so instead of overwhelmed, it's just unfocused. Doing that, then I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to do that. So it's being a bit more organised. So yeah, so actually it's more, I'm not as organised as perhaps I would normally like to be. I took a goal on a walk and I ended up with 16 reasons that you're not achieving your goal. And I just wondered whether one of those might be applicable now. Yeah, I think there's something here about avoiding diversions and avoiding distractions and keeping your focus on the goal. And I think that's right. I think what's happened is that I've added in more. So it's like I've planted more of those trees. I've added more into the mix, said yes to more things, rather than going, no, enough is enough. Yeah, and there's also something there looking about me well-being. It's like I haven't done the walks, and yet I know yesterday morning's sunrise were beautiful, and therefore I could have gone out. So if it's nice today, it's going back to that. Not a long bath, go for a walk, and I know I'll feel better. And I also feel better if I eat the right things. So I'm going to make a soup today. So I know that's adding something in, but I'm not convinced making a soup is that much longer than anything else that I would do. As I was tidying up the lounge, the TV winked at me and I went, oh, but of course. And it's something that I have written time and time again that I know gets me out of sorts. So perhaps the reason I'm feeling out of sorts is because I decided to go back to watching Line of Duty from the beginning. And yeah, I just know death and destruction, killing just gets me out of sorts. So I need to go back to watching more inspirational movies, not death and destruction. Don't know how many times I have to say this to myself, and I don't notice. It's like because I'm enjoying the characters, I'm enjoying how they're all getting on with each other, and so then go, oh, it doesn't matter. It does, Alison. Might not be for you. You might love them, but you know what? They don't do much for me. I'm going to finish with I Reclaim All My Parts poem for you. It's very short, but it always makes me feel confident and strong when I read it. So perhaps there's some words, there's a quote that really resonates with you from some writer or author or poet, or a song. Go and play it. Songs don't do it for me, but yeah, go and find a song that you can sing or listen to or dance to. I reclaim all my parts. The parts I've lost along the way, the parts whose existence I've denied, the hidden parts, the unacknowledged and unappreciated parts, the forgotten parts, the parts I've found it hard to love. I reclaim all of my parts. I give breath to all of my parts. I love all of my parts, and all of my parts love me. So hopefully something here has resonated for you if you're beating yourself up for not managing to do everything. I use metaphor and I talk about seeing situations differently. So problems that we're struggling with, situations that you're grappling with, I come at them from a slightly different angle. So do follow, do leave a comment, do let me know what you'd like me to explore, and I'm hopefully be back outside by then, because I do prefer to do these outside. But this seemed to be a pragmatic way of, well, and you've done your video, it's just inside, it's not the end of the world, Alison.